Hi guys, so in today's video we're talking about working from anywhere. So jobs you can do online to make an income and basically work wherever you like. And obviously a lot of people call this the digital nomad lifestyle because a lot of people travel loads and basically do this. So I'm teaming up with an awesome YouTuber. I stumbled across her channel recently and absolutely fell in love with her content. So we started chatting and decided to collab together on this, and I'm gonna do 7 and she's gonna do the remainder on her channel. So when you're done here, go check out her video on this and I'll just let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Anna. Hi everyone, it's lovely to virtually meet you all. Just like Anna, on my channel I've created a lot of videos to share what I've learned and what I've practiced to do with budgeting, saving, investing and beginning to create multiple income streams. It's all about freedom on my channel, and financial freedom is a very important part of that for me. So if you do find yourself over on my channel checking it out, then make sure you say hi. We would love to have you.
So the one thing I will do is, whilst I'm talking about these things that you can do to make money online, is tell you whether Rachel and I use that method as well. So we'll have a little table that basically says like Anna yes, Rachel no, or Anna yes, Rachel yes. You get the gist. So all of the things that I'm going to mention in this video are things that I'm pursuing, and none of them relate to YouTube. So if you don't want to go down that whole route of being a YouTuber, then hopefully these will be helpful to you as well. I have been thinking about it and I've realized with the amount of money that I've been making online through all of these, and hopefully with the growth that it's going to have over the coming months and maybe the next few years, I think that in between sort of selling my flat here and moving out of London to actually fully occupying my house in Poland, I might do a bit of traveling. So I might become a little bit of a digital nomad myself, because the amounts I'm making at the moment would probably mean that I could easily currently live in somewhere like Thailand or basically most places within Southeast Asia. So that's really exciting. Of course, since I do them, you'll already know that these can be done as a side hustle income as well, and easily scalable because I do these on top of my full-time job, which means that, you know, if I spent more time on them, if I didn't work full-time, the income could be higher. And the final thing to say here is that, you know, you don't have to do all of these. You can do a combination of some of them, you can do all of them, you can do 1 or 2 of them. It's whatever appeals to you. This is just to give you some ideas of the different ways that you can make money online. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to mention, bear with me because there are 3 different ways that you can do this. So even if you don't like the sound of one of them, there are still 2 others that you might like. And the thing that I'm talking about is plain good old blogging. Now, obviously the most obvious way of doing this is creating your own blog about something, whether it's about your travels, if you're a digital nomad. Actually, this is a really popular topic and people love following that journey. So that could be something that you could do, or something that you're passionate about and good at and want to write about, whether it's finance, cooking, anything like that. Having your own blog can be a great way of gaining some extra income through things like affiliates, through things like ads, through things like sponsored posts. However, if that doesn't quite float your boat, then there's also websites such as medium.com, which if you haven't heard of before, I think I've mentioned it in one of my last videos, but essentially it's a platform where you write articles and they are published on Medium, and Medium's already an established platform, so you don't have to worry that much about driving your own audience to the posts. There are intricacies of it and there are tons of videos on YouTube if you want to learn more about it, but essentially you kind of get paid per view. Sometimes it's easier to get seen, sometimes it's harder, but like I said, you can check out the different content on YouTube around how to sort of actually make money on Medium. But this can be an easier way of making money than starting a blog from scratch. There are people here on YouTube that I follow that make from hundreds to thousands per month just from writing on Medium, which is just insane. I haven't managed to spend as much time writing on there as I'd like, but I think that it is a good way of getting into writing articles without having to worry about things like keyword research and stuff like that. And finally, the third way to make money from blogging is to guest write articles or ghost write articles, one of the 2. So this is where you actually write for other people's websites and blogs and they pay you. I think quite a lot of people aren't aware that this is actually a thing, but there are different ways of approaching this, and I'm only just at the beginning of my journey with this, but I did recently get paid £50 just for one blog article, and it actually had nothing to do with finance. It was actually about the vegan diet and stuff like that. But it's crazy that so many people aren't aware that you can actually get paid to write articles for other people. And it's not about being a professional writer. You just have to be relatable and know your stuff. So there are different ways of going about starting this. You could go on websites like Fiverr. I've literally seen people offering sort of article writing services on there. You could join networks. So I've found opportunities through Facebook groups, and you could just offer your services to other blogs. So if there are blogs you read that you're passionate about, you could just email them and ask whether they are interested in something like that. And I don't just mean individual blogs from other people, I mean like bigger blogs and well-established websites. You have nothing to lose by sending them an email and asking if that's something they're interested in. The second thing I've mentioned previously in some of my posts, and it actually got quite a lot of interest, and that is user testing. So although this isn't a huge amount of income and potentially not a very reliable source of income, this can actually be quite lucrative if you have the time to spend on it. So last month I said I made £65 from this, and this month I've already made £52. So although they're not huge amounts, if you're traveling in places like Southeast Asia, this is actually a really good way of making some extra cash. Like I said, bear in mind that I just do this in my spare time. Like when I remember, I'm like, oh, let me go and check and just go through all the qualifiers and stuff. And I've 2 months in a row made over £50. I've always been asked what website I use. I use a website called usertesting.com, and it's great. There are other websites I know, but this is the only one I use and have time for. If I had more time on my hands, I would probably try out the other websites as well. Next, it's going to be an obvious one, but dividends and investments. So obviously this is something that we talk a lot about on this channel, and it takes a while to build up, but it is something that you can look at building whilst you are able to, and having that sustain you even a little bit, you know, even if it's not about being fully reliant on the dividends and investments. If you can make like an extra £100 a month from your dividends and investments, that again, in places like Southeast Asia, can cover quite a bit of stuff for you. The other thing is, as you are sort of traveling around and earning your income, obviously the goal will be not to just cover your bare minimum expenses, but to also make some additional money to save and invest. So you can constantly be growing those investments whilst you are traveling and building and building and building that income. Both Rachel and I have a lot of videos about beginners investing and how to get started. So if you haven't watched those already, check them out, and hopefully you'll get just as passionate about investing as we are. The next thing is online remote working. So there are tons of different ways to do this, so I'm going to try and break this down a little bit. But the thing that I have in mind is websites such as People Per Hour, We Work Remotely, Remote OK, and stuff like that. So essentially any website that focuses on posting online work. Now there are different ways that this could work. You could look at something which is a full-time job just based remotely, which might seem weird, but there are actually quite a few of them if you know where to look. And especially in the current climate, more and more companies are becoming okay with having a remote workforce. So you could search for having a just full-time salary and live off of that. Or there are also things like People Per Hour, where you bid for jobs and you get paid hourly, and they are like one-off projects which you complete. So anything literally from completing a blog to something like we need someone to do this for a couple weeks or something like that. So I've looked through quite a few of these websites quite often and have actually found loads of jobs that I would be able to do if I was allowed to. So it is definitely something worth thinking about, and it doesn't necessarily have to be related to a profession. Obviously that helps, but actually things like virtual assistants and social media marketing and stuff like that, you can learn the skills for that through things like YouTube and Skillshare and just courses online and through experience. Next is teaching. So you can do this for any subject really. You could tutor online. If you are good at maths, you can teach maths online. If you're good at, I don't know, economics, you can teach economics online and tutor kids who are going through exams. But if you don't have any of those very specific sort of skill sets in terms of subjects, you can just teach English. There are qualifications you can do about teaching English online, and you'd have seen I've recently done one called Teaching English as a Foreign Language, and They allow you to either work online, which obviously this whole video is about, or working in those countries, physically teaching the children in classrooms. So although that technically doesn't fall under the digital nomad banner, actually if you're wanting to travel, that could be a good way of having like a job in those countries. But like I said, you can also teach online, and because I'm now qualified, I've been doing so much research about the different jobs and agencies that are available, and it's just so overwhelming how much work there is out there for English teachers online. If you do sign up through an agency, this can actually be a fairly stable source of income because they will guarantee you the hours. So I've seen ones which say, for example, if you sign up to us, you have to commit to 10 hours a week as a bare minimum, but actually if you are earning $10 an hour, which I think has been around like the minimum mark that I've seen, there's been a few that have been less, but I would just discount them, but most pay $10 an hour plus. So actually $10 an hour, 10 hours a week is a pretty decent income as a minimum anyway, to supplement all these other things. And you can always pick up more shifts, but it's good to get that guaranteed level if you're going through the agencies. Next is going to be digital products. So a lot of people think that you have to have an online audience to do this, but you really don't. You just have to have some sort of skill set which people might want, and you'd be surprised as to what people are interested in. Whether it's certain spreadsheets, whether it's printables, whether it's ebooks, whether it's artwork, you know, anything like that you can create and sell through places like Etsy to make a bit of like additional passive income. And you don't need an online presence for this at all. I know people who sell on Etsy who don't have an online presence at all and make a decent amount of money. So it's worth exploring to see, you know, do you have any ideas for things that you could create that might sell? And the final thing I'm going to talk about is kind of related to the digital products, but it's workshops and courses. So with the workshops, we're talking about actual running workshops where you have people come onto a Skype or a Zoom call with you and you're teaching them stuff. So obviously this is exchanging time for money, but it is a good way, especially if you have, again, certain skills that you can appeal to people with, then that's really useful. And then courses, again, if you're really good at a specific thing, then it's worth thinking about creating a course. The one thing that I've recently done is run some workshops and then going to repurpose them into a course that people can download. And there are different ways as well that you can market this. You could do it on your own website, you could do it via places like Skillshare again. And obviously the bonus of doing it through websites like that is that they actually bring in the audience once again, sort of how I mentioned Medium before. So obviously that one's a lot more labor intensive, especially at the beginning. But if you create a good product, it can actually pay you a lot of money over time with minimal effort from you later on. So that's it for my ideas. And if you haven't already checked out Rachel's video, go to her channel now and watch the second half of this video. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.